Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan and I'm joined by Dawsons estate agents Chris Hope and Ricky Purdy. And Ricky, I think you're Director of Lettings.
Indeed, yes, Director of Lettings.
Yes, but you're also very heavily involved with this staff welfare scheme.
Yeah, I think it's, as Chris has touched on previously, very important that the staff, we've got an awful lot of them now getting bigger as time goes on, have a very enjoyable and sort of pleasant place to work and sort of, benefit from the incentives that we can give them or the offers that we can give them to use. So. It's
almost a novel concept in this day and age, and yet it's a very old-fashioned system as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the gestures go a long way, as Chris touched on. It's not necessarily the monetary aspect of it. It's just things that could be a little bit more personal or individual to a team or to a staff member themselves. So yeah, we want to sort of keep it very personal, keep it very sort of local and not corporate, maybe as it's.
Yes, it keys Dawsons even more firmly, because it's very firmly embedded anyway in the city and in the local area.
Yeah, we want to be an attractive place for people to want to come and work, really. So we want to put that image and that sort of impression out there to possibly new staff members, as well as sort of have the current staff members benefit as well. So.
I think being a medium-sized company, keeping staff and longevity rather than people looking for different jobs, being happy in your role is just such an important thing for employers to be dealing with.
Why is that so important, Chris?
I think at the end of the day, there's nothing worse than 6:30, 7 o'clock, your alarm going off thinking, I'm going to go to work today. Whereas I genuinely believe that a big chunk of our office, not every single person, but actually look forward to, because their offices are clean, tidy. They've got a lot of reasonably good technology. They've got good management. They have their lunch breaks. They've got a nice kitchen to work in and eat food and so on. And they get a lot of recognition, I think, from their peers if emails go out, or just, we've had a great weekend and that person was very helpful. Not necessarily always on a sales aspect. It's more a case of how helpful the individuals have been to their work colleagues. And we brought Ricky's idea was in fairness to bring the reward card in-house, but we've soon thought, well, there's a lot of advantages for our clients as well, and before you know it, it'll be rolled out to 2,000 or 3,000 people probably.
It's all about being fulfilled in work, isn't it? So it was actually your baby in the first place.
Yeah, something that we touched on.
Where did you take the inspiration from?
It would have just, again, incentives to people that sort of warrant that sort of little bit of appreciation, really. So things which we've touched on, making the the benefits of working for us different from the norm, and then it's just grown from there, really, sort of organically, and we've put a lot more time and effort into it through the summer months, so we could launch it this month. And again, they will benefit each other. So the more the card is in the public domain and the more customers use it, the more of an appeal it will be to additional companies, local, independent, sort of like-minded companies to be part of it. So our staff benefit from even more discounts. And
how's it being received by the other companies involved?
Really, really well. We were very selective over the companies that we wanted to be involved in it. So we wanted, companies to be local, to be very reputable, to be sort of, a mix of industries, so that we could really see, a mix of uses for the staff and the tenants. So they've really bought into it. They've helped us sort of with the planning and the launch of it, and yeah, they're already seeing the benefits of additional custom, let's say, in this first week to 10 days. So really, really well.
It's very refreshing, isn't it, to get away from, well, you would think so, I'm sure, from this sort of global corporate image where, there are faceless bosses and shareholders and all the rest of it.
I think that businesses of our size have a very fine balance between being owner-owned, private owner-owned in that sense, and having the corporate ideals of growth for the business. But in fairness to closed shops, Jones in Mumbles, Yankee Candles, Egerton & Jones, Builders Merchants, Optimist, Nick John Wine Merchants, as Ricky said, it's a nice varied base. And we really hope that, as I said, our clients, our staff have already used them. We are hoping, though, by the time of our 1,000 sort of property owners and then all the buyers that come with it, all our applicants, our landlords, our tenants, we want them to use it and have an advantage of being associated with our business.
It means that the money earned in Swansea tends to stay in Swansea.
Exactly.
And that's so important, isn't it?
That's key for us, keeping it local and keeping them sort of independent. So we've got some very well-known brands, but on a local basis. So yeah, it's
and so it's particularly pertinent, really, within the lettings part of the business, and you're lettings director. How is that part of the business going at the moment?
Very, very well. It's extremely busy. We've had a very, very good year, and we're sort of quietening down naturally now through the season and heading into November. But as Chris touched on previously it's the supply and demand, so you know what's available there.
So is there enough supply?
At the moment, no, is the short answer. You know, for accommodation of any size and any area within our postcodes, yeah, they're really at a premium. So it's a very good time to be a landlord, and you know, and tenants, or from a tenant's perspective, they've got to act very, very quickly to find something that they think is for them. So yeah, it's a good time.
What influence does the student element have on the housing stock?
On the rental housing stock? Well, I think since with Trinity St David's as well as the university, their growth is phenomenal, and there's no question we just haven't, as a housing stock, been able to keep track of it at all. Which is why all these developments are taking place probably on the outskirts of town, and the students still really want to be local to city centre.
Yes.
They haven't been quite as keen, in my opinion, to be further out of Swansea in that sense.
I can remember when my daughter was a student in Cardiff, she had a flat within 100 yards or something of Starving Jacks or something. Pub in Cardiff, you know. And that was, you know.
It's no different than today.
No, it's a social element, effectively. You've got three or four key areas in Uplands and Bryn Mawr and Bryn Mawr and the city centre.
So much of it. It's a very important part of the student experience, isn't it?
Definitely. It's a big attraction to what, you know, brings a student to Swansea. Obviously, the sort of academic side of things, but the sort of, the social side of their time in Swansea is really important. That's a big pull for them.
What about the quality of the accommodation?
Just about to lead on to that, because that's the biggest change, truthfully. 15, 20 years ago, very straightforward.
It was often rubbish, wasn't it?
It was. You had too many Dickensian landlords where you'd have fish running up the walls and so on. It was dreadful. But in fairness, with the council's involvement, and in particular, I think that parents of the children, they come down saying, you're not going to move into that. Yeah. No, I'd rather pay more money. And certainly now the housing stock is far better, the quality's better. They've all got their plasma TVs and their Wi-Fi and better quality, and they change the beds every season and so on. And those landlords are reaping the rewards. People will pay more money for a better quality, without doubt.
What about, generally speaking, I mean, in a sense, rented accommodation has a bad name. What's the quality of the rented accommodation?
I think that's a little unfair, truthfully, in recent years. I mean, we've had licensing and mandatory licensing and registration for landlords this 12 months now, as of next month. So that's really sort of encouraged the standards to sort of be increased. And, you know, we're very fortunate that we are selective over the properties and the clients that we tend to sort of, you know, liaise with and sort of and work on behalf of. So, yes, there are some poor properties out there. And
do you set a standard, you know, when you're accepting a property from a landlord?
For sure. Yeah, you know, we want it to be a level that's acceptable regardless of size or location or type of furniture or tenant it would attract. Yeah, we've got a bar that we want to sort of stay above, and that's quite a high bar, truthfully.
The bar, truthfully, though, is all set by people who ring in, and they would like to have this and they'd like to have that. There's no demands, because they can't demand, but their expectations are of what they will pay for is higher and higher, and it does help from a business point of view. I'm sure there are other businesses where if a landlord doesn't deal with a leaky tap today, it becomes a roof down tomorrow. So most of our landlords are very happy that they just allow us to get on with a certain degree of repairs if needed, or upgrades if needed, and repaint and recarpet in between tenants. So we're very happy.
It takes the headaches out of it for the landlord.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's false economy not to, really. So those small problems now, as Chris mentions, will be big in the future. So, you know, the better quality accommodation, the better tenant you'll attract. That's a general rule of thumb and works very, very well for us. And then the snowball effect is the longer they stay, the better they leave it, and standards maintained. So, you know, we're really strong on that, really. And
so, just to recap on the rewards card, how do people?
Basically, it's been a client of ours is the immediate sort of clientele and benefit. So, as Chris has mentioned, that's going to be released to 2,000 or 3,000 people over the coming weeks for buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords. So they will be able to sort of benefit from the associations we've got, and that will continue. So
hopefully they'll be able to come in, have their card, and we'd just like to use it. We'd just like them to use it. Have the benefit.
Sounds like a great place to work. How do people apply for a job?
They can look on our website. We've got a careers link there, and by all means, we'd welcome sort of applications and interest that we would come back to them on, for sure.
And of course, Swansea's a great place to work, isn't it?
And the football team won.
What more could you want? What more could you want? Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's been very interesting to take a look behind the scenes, really, at the housing market in Swansea. So, and I'd like to thank also all our guests today for joining us. And of course, you at home, where would we be without you? And those online, thank you very much for tuning in. See you tomorrow.